Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and once again, we have a wonderful episode for you today. Today, we are connecting with another listener, actually Jacob Zander. Jacob is out of Montana, has a ton of amazing stories, and is a listener of the podcast. So he's another one of those brave souls that went on to, I don't know if it was Instagram or the website or where he found it specifically, but I have a little form you can fill out. If you have some stories you want to share, please go there, fill out the form. We will be in touch to hear some of your great stories. But that being said, guys, I want to thank Jake, of course, for coming on the podcast. Really couldn't have done it without him. And it is a really fun episode. So, Jake, thank you. Beyond that, guys, whatever you're listening to, please give us a review, a follow, help us be found by more people by helping out, those crazy algorithms everyone talks about. But that's it, guys. Let's kick this thing off. Let's let Jake tell you some of his stories. Thank you. All right, Jake, welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I am doing well, man. I'm happy to have you here. Once again, we have a listener. I think I've got a little bit of a streak here of listeners reaching out to come on the podcast, man. So thank you so much for being brave, filling out. I don't know if you filled out my form, if you just messaged me on Instagram, because I can't recall these things. But thank you for reaching out, man. I really do appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me, man. No, you got something special going on here, so I'm glad to be a part of it.
I appreciate that, man. It's a lot of fun. I get to meet a lot of cool people like yourself. Well, let's do this, though. Why don't we have you introduce yourself in our little pre-chat? I didn't ask anything about you, so I apologize for that. So fill me in, man. Who am I hearing some stories from today?
Not a problem, man. So my name's Jake Zander. I'm from Southwest Montana. I work as a dam tender and an irrigation ditch rider. I've been hunting pretty much all my life. Ever since I was a little kid, my old man was taking us out on hunts, showing us the ropes, really telling us, hey, hunting is about meat, and that was pretty much what we got from him. And then ended up going hunting with him quite a bit, and just really learning all the lessons that these old timers can teach us. So.
That's awesome, man. I didn't have any old timers to teach me, so I'm jealous. It's something I wish I have. It's something that I'm working on building up for the next generation. But we'll get, you get the cards you're dealt. So you lived in Montana your whole life? Are you?
I was born down in Missouri.
Missouri.
Misery. But we ended up moving up here when I was about 2, and lived in Montana for quite a few years, moved back down to Missouri, got into hunting quite a bit in Missouri, actually. That's where I took my first year at, was in southern Missouri. And then we moved back up here, and I got dedicated into elk hunting, and that really just soaked both feet into Western big game and really set my sights for what I'm doing. Just mountain chasing for animals is just... you can't beat it. Man. Obviously, people from the Midwest are going to disagree with me, but
dude, every kind of hunting is amazing in its own right. For sure. They're all difficult in their own right. I got a buddy who's from North Carolina, and then my buddy that's here in Colorado, and they always argue about which one's harder. And I'm like, yeah, it's hard to hike up a mountain. It is, but it's also hard as shit to sit in a blind or a tree stand for 8 hours. Like,
absolutely,
I don't know if I can do that.
No, my patience does not wear as well as some of these Midwestern folks, so they have better patience for sure. And
it's a skill, it's a talent.
It is a talent, for sure.
And I'll tell you what, I know personally that when I'm sitting there doing nothing, and then something comes in on me, that's when I get the jitters. That's when I'm like, I can't stop my bow from shaking. This is going to be awful. But when I'm like hiking and I roll up on something, I'm cool as ice. So I don't know what the difference is, but like...
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Credit to all those people, on the east that hunt the whitetail like that, because
for sure. And those guys,
it's a scary idea for me.
They got such a special, they got a special way of doing stuff down there. So I really,
for sure, man.
Everybody's got their own knack, and they're, they got
just all got to try it all. That's what's important.
For sure.
Let's kick this thing off, man. What stories you got for us today?
So I got a couple that I kind of pointed out. All of them been prior years, not this last year. Actually, this spring, I just on Easter, I ended up taking a nice black bear, but it wasn't really too much of a story, so we're gonna leave it at that. But
Okay. I've actually never been bear hunting. I've had a bear tag, but like it's always been supplemental to my elk tag,
sure.
and it's on my list. I'm gonna get. I think next season I might try, or maybe it's 2 years out, but I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah, it's a nice like fill-in time in the springtime. You know, you got shed hunting, and then that's pretty much a giant blank until hunting season. So having some spring bear is kind of nice to have. So
yeah.
So I guess we'll start off with I was graduating high school 2017. So I was 26 now. I had a buddy of mine that I graduated with. He's been my hunting partner, best man for his wedding, and he's going to be best man for my wedding coming up shortly.
Hell yeah.
So he ended up drawing a cow tag for an area that is pretty yeah, that word. Just there's a lot of cow elk in that area.
Okay.
And so we ended up
we'll say there's plenty of it.
Plenty. Yeah, that word. So we ended up getting a plan together and being like, "Hey man, I know you've been working all summer doing firefighting and whatever, you know, just let's get out and hang out." And so I was like, "Yeah, man, I'd love to hang out with you." And he's like, "Well, I drew this tag and you know, I don't have really anybody else to help me out. You know, I don't want to pack a cow elk out myself. I will do it, but that guy, he would in a heartbeat. He's a stone cold killer for sure. So
yeah.
So we piled up in the truck, and it was a 12-hour drive. And man, you know, it's fun the first hour. You know how that gets. You know, first hour you're like woohoo, and then you know as you start getting along, you're like, man, this road sucks. So we ended up getting to our camp spot on kind of like a flat above the river that we were hunting at. And the area we were hunting at is I don't know if you've ever been near the Badlands or anything like that, but it's like just crumbly and steep and straight up and down, but really rolly all the way down. And the elevation holds pretty well down to the river. So we found a flat, parked and got camp set up, and I had a deer tag. And I was letting him know, you know, like, hey, I'd like to film my tag while I'm here and not just, you know, help him pack out meat. I would help him do that, but like, I want to make it worth our while.
Yeah.
So
if you got a shot, you got to take it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we get camp set up and we hike to this kind of like knob about half a mile away, and we're glassing and looking for elk, and like, man, I ain't seeing nothing. And it's like, well, what about over there? And I turned my head to the left, and I noticed a group of mule deer, 2 does and a buck, and just a younger buck, but they were in rut. So I was wondering if maybe there was a bigger buck tailing them, but ended up only seeing those 3. He's like, "Oh, those, I mean, there's deer right there, you know, like, what do you think about shooting that?" He's like, "Well, that's one of the better bucks I've seen." And I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, this guy's kind of like a spindly guy. You know, he's a young buck. Are you sure this is the best buck you've seen? Yeah, man, I don't really see bucks like that around here. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, him and Han, and I'm like, you know what, man, like, I came here, I'm really about the meat aspect of it, but like, you know, I like trying taking the mature deer, but I'll take what I can get. And
yeah.
So we're kind of hemming and hawing, and they kind of catch a look at us and drop down a coulee, and I'm like, man, I'll do it. You know what? To hell with it. I'm gonna go shoot it. And he he comes up, and about 175-ish yards away, he's just stops and's looking at us, and he stops right where a dead branch is kind of blocking his vitals. And like, man, I ain't got a shot, you know, like I could scoot to the left or right, but he'd bust. Like, you could tell he's about ready to take off. And if I rocked to the tip of my toes, I could just barely see his vitals. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh man, you're not going to like this one, but you know what? We'll try it. And so I rocked to the tip of my toes, kind of sit on my heels. I got his vitals in my head. I'm like, all right, let's give her a shot. Roll up to the tip of my toes and pull the trigger. And man, I got knocked on my butt so fast. I mean, just boom, right on my ass. And I'm like, oh, like looking over, trying to see what happened. And my buddy's like, dude,
what were you shooting? I got to start with that.
I was shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor, but like I was so off balance with that standing on the toes.
Like probably not on flat, stable ground.
No, it was like kind of on a hillside. So like I was on my toes on a rock and just barely could get the vitals. So I pull the trigger, boom, fall on my ass.
Textbook.
Oh, perfect. And so I'm sitting there on my ass, and I like look around this log, and there's that deer just laying down. I'm like, no way, I just like knocked this deer down.
There you go. You did the important part right.
Yeah, so my buddy's sitting there, he's like, dude, you got him. And I'm like, no way. So we get up and we walk down to him, and this buck is still alive. And I'm like, oh no, I spined him. And so we left everything at camp. When I mean like I just grabbed my rifle and like the clip. That was it. Or orange, and that was it. So we're sitting there and I'm like, what the hell do I do with this deer? He's still alive, I could shoot it again. And he's like, yeah, that'd probably be the best bet. Yeah. So we put another round in him and get him quartered out. And he was just like, that deer was at a perfect bench to where we could drive his truck from camp across like some off-roading a little bit, load it in the back of the truck and take it back to camp. And
that's
so,
awesome.
Yeah, so super easy. So he did that and like boom, first part of the trip, success, ready to rock and roll. So I wake up about 4:00 and we're getting ready to go get his elk. Deer's hung up. We're not really worried about bear yet because they hadn't made their way across the plains quite yet. This is a couple years ago, back before they've started seeing grizzlies kind of move their way across the front. So we just kind of hung it up high enough to keep the coyotes out, and that was pretty much it. So we start the day off hiking, and I mean just hiking and hiking and hiking. And up and down coulees, in and out of, ridges, working our way down to the river because we know that the elk kind of are moving their way to the river. And we hit about midday, and I'm like, man, I'm hungry. I'm taking lunch. I don't care what you're doing. He like walks a little bit further. He's like, man, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm hungry, man. So I sit down, I start cracking open lunch, and he comes back and starts cracking open lunch, and we're eating, and I happen to just see
it that way. It sounds like you're just having beers for lunch.
Well, there was
a couple cold lunches,
Yeah, that's later.
Cold snacks
for sure. Yeah, some Colorado cold snacks.
There we go.
So we're sitting there and we're just like eating, and all of a sudden I look over and I thought I spotted something move, kind of like a dark brown, and I'm like, man, that looked kind of like what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So I whip my head over, and sure enough, there's a herd of about 250-ish elk.
Oh, wow.
Way off in the distance, like probably 4 miles away.
Okay.
So I'm looking at my buddy, and I'm like, this is obviously kind of the earlier stages of my hunting career. And I'm like, oh, man, get down. So, like, I'm thinking these elk can see us, right? So we're on our stomachs, and we back up all the way over to the ridge. And they're so far away from us, man, like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just like, man, hit the ground. Like, So
hey,
we're
better safe than sorry.
Yeah, right? For sure.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there and we're watching them, and they start making their way down off of the knob that they're on, and they're heading towards the river. And we're like, oh man, like there's tons of good cow elk and bulls in that group, but we can't shoot bulls. Obviously, we got a cat tag. So I'm like, let's hustle up and let's get to the next couple of ridges and try and beat them before they get down to the river. And this is like 5-6 miles in from camp, and it's pretty easy going down the elevation, kind of following the ridges, but like you don't realize how far away you are until you start looking at Onyx.
Yeah.
And so we're just chasing these elk, just practically mirroring them on the opposite hillside, staying out of sight, keeping wind pretty good, and we get almost all the way down to the river, and it's about 5 o'clock in November. And so it's getting dark pretty quick. And so we're sitting there, we're kind of eyeballing him, and he's like, man, I think I got him. And I'm like, all right, man, just take your shot, make a good shot. And he ended up posting up on this hill, and he was in the worst shooting position ever, man.
Was he on his tippy toes?
Oh, no. This is like curled over like a medicine ball at the gym type shooting. Geez. Yeah, he's like full on like over this ridge, and I'm like, man, are you feeling good? You know, you're shooting good. He's like, yeah, man, I got this. I'm like, all right, perfect. And so the elk kind of like hit the last set of mountains before you hit the valley flats in the river, and they start cutting back up. And I'm like, all right, man, you know, there's a couple cows, and I'm just kind of sitting there waiting. And I'm sitting there waiting and waiting. I'm like, man, is this guy ever going to shoot? You know, so I'm fiddling with my thumbs. I'm kind of kicking some dirt around, you know, just biding time, and just boom. I'm like, whoa, all right. And just drops a nice sized cow elk. And the rest of the herd scatter, head straight down to the river. I'm looking at them, and there's a couple nice bulls in there. I can't shoot them, obviously, but like it's nice to see the wildlife, you know. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm watching
especially
these.
A herd that big, it's so cool to see that many elk at one time.
Yeah, especially all of them running the same way. You know, they just all pour over the mountainside. So I'm looking at them, and I'm like, man, that's a cool looking. You know, those are some cool looking elk. You know, and all of a sudden I look back over. I'm like, where did it? Oh, there's this cow. And it's just right on the ledge of one of the coulees that drops like 25 feet into this like V. So we're sitting there, and all the elk move off, and we get over to where this cow is, made a perfect shot. I mean, that guy just smoked him. He's like,
did the cow just drop in place, or did it run
drop in place pretty much? Yeah,
okay.
It just kind of rolled once and just stopped. So we got over there, and he got his picture, and we're sitting there, and we're like, well, what do we do now? Like, the angle of this hill is too steep to drag her head uphill, and there's nothing below us to really roll her down to a flat. So we're kind of looking around, trying to figure it out. And he's like, man, you know what? The best thing we're going to do is just roll her down into this drainage. And I was like, oh, I knew you were going to say that. So this guy and I kick this cow elk down this drainage into this V, and it just boom, boom, like 25, 30 yards, just head, like hoof and head, just all the way down the mountain. Stops at the bottom, and the bottom's flat. It's like a probably 10-foot wide bottom.
Okay.
So enough room to like do some work, you know, get to work. So we start cutting it up and getting it cleaned out. And being young as we are, we're like, oh man, we'll just drag this thing out. Meanwhile, we're 8 miles from the nearest boat launch and 15 miles from camp.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there and we're like, oh, we'll just drag it down. Don't know what the hell we were thinking.
How
so
far
we drug
did you
it.
actually make it dragging? Like 15
Probably,
feet?
we got to about 100 yards, and we were smoked, dude. And this, you know, I was doing wildland firefighting. He was in the gym all the time, so we were in pretty good shape. But we were smoked.
Dude, I would have given up way before 100 yards.
So we cut her in half, and we drag half and half, probably 200 yards to a fence. And I'm like, man, here's the problem. We're going to get to that boat launch, and we're going to have to hike 22 miles back to camp to get the truck. That's not a good idea. Why don't you hike back up, you get the truck, and meet me at the boat launch, and I'll just start cutting her up. He's like, all right, that's a great idea. So he goes up, and he leaves me there with this elk. Mind you, I was mentioning coyotes earlier. We were watching probably 5 or 6 of them just kind of playing around on the ice, running around. I don't know what they were doing. It was frozen over, so they were crossing the river. And so I'm cutting her up, and it gets dark, and I'm cutting, and I finally get her broken down enough to start packing her out, and I get a hind and a shoulder, and I start hiking her out. Well, it gets really dark. So I'm like, oh, I'll grab my headlamp. I forgot my headlamp at home.
Oh, no.
And the only thing I had was one of those Walmart hat clamps.
Okay.
Like
better
lights.
Than nothing.
Better than nothing. It's probably 15 yards max I can see.
Okay.
So I'm packing, you know, I'm just moving along, and I get kind of to the area where those coyotes were. And I kind of see a flash and like a kick up of dust and some movement. And I'm like, all right, hang on, wait a minute. What's going on here? So I stop. I'm looking around, and I just see this yellowish greenish tinge kind of at the peripheral of where I can see, like the very bait, like probably 30 yards away. I'm like, ain't no way these suckers are messing around with me. And I had a pistol with me at the time, so I just pulled it out pointed it right between the eyes, just pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
I don't know if I hit it. I don't care. I was just trying to I was trying to get them away from me. I don't care.
Understandable.
Yeah. So,
so I'm working until they are. Let's keep
exactly. And especially when there's more than like 2 of them.
Yeah.
So I'm working my way down the river, and I keep hearing noises around me, man. And your mind plays tricks on you, but like, it doesn't help that this Walmart hat lamp is not keeping your vision very well.
Yeah. You're in your little cone of silence.
Exactly. So I'm kind of like talking to myself, playing music on my phone, walking down this river. And I just get to a point where I'm like, man, I can't go forward. I can't go back without hearing noises. And so I move my way closest towards like the base of a hill. And I just build a fire. I just build a big old fire. And probably 2 hours later, my buddy, I see a set of headlamp walking down. And my buddy's like, hey, man, what are you doing? I don't know, man. I was packing this out, and I just kept seeing eyes and hearing sounds, and I just sat down. I said, I have had enough.
Yeah.
And he's like, right on, man. Well, the truck's probably about 4.5 miles away. Let's just, you can make it the rest of the way there. I'll go grab the rest of the pack. And I'm like, man, let's split this pack, and we'll make it 1 trip on the way back. So we'll make it in 3 trips. So we argued for a bit, and he's like, all right, man, whatever. We'll just grab the truck. Well, we're walking out, and we get to the truck, drop off our load, come back, and as we're passing that fire that I built, there's just tracks all over the snow, just coyote tracks everywhere. And so I'm like, see, man, I told you. This time I have one of his spare headlamps on me, and I'm like, there's just tracks everywhere. They were following me. So we make our way back to the carcass and see some tracks around the carcass, some like hide tore up. Nothing crazy though. We were pretty confident that with the 2 of us, it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
So we load up both the packs, and we make our way all the way back to the truck. And my buddy, he was keeping his Onyx on the tracking mode, and we ended up putting down about 24 miles that day. Woo. Chasing elk, shooting those elk, getting it packed out. We didn't get to camp until about 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning.
Damn, man. I want to say kudos to that guy's phone battery as well. My phone wouldn't make it 24 miles on the tracking mode for Onyx.
What he did is he ended up putting it on airplane mode, but he's pretty studious about packing those portable chargers.
Okay.
And so he just always, anytime his phone starts dying off, he just slaps that portable charger on and just walks with it. So, but we ended up getting it packed out, and we ended up leaving that next morning. Pretty early. We ended up leaving about 8 o'clock in the morning. This is like young guy energy, they're just not a care in the world, ragdolled and ready to get home and sleep. So, but yeah, he was definitely kind of a like a beacon of hope walking down that river, because I couldn't see anything, man. So. But
I bet you've never gone out without a headlight since. That seems like one of those times where it's like the best lessons are self-taught. That was a self-taught lesson where you were like, that sucked. I hated every moment of that. I will never not have a good headlamp again. Hey, hunters. Have you ever had one of those stories, the ones that you didn't want to tell, the ones that end in failure? Yeah, I've been there. Actually, you know what? The culprit for me usually is bad optics, or worse, lack of using my optics at all. Picture this. I spot a trophy buck, or an antelope, or an elk, whatever it may be. My heart is racing, but the blurry view, or I just can't quite identify exactly what I'm looking at, it has me second guessing. Well, that's where Vortex Optics comes in. With crystal clear glass and rugged durability, Vortex gives you the confidence to take the shot. Don't let poor optics ruin your story. Make every moment count. Upgrade to Vortex and turn your hunting tales into triumphs. Visit vortexoptics.com today.
Oh yeah, no, I've purchased 2 of them. 2 of them sit in my pack, and one of them's rechargeable. So
yep, yeah, so I have like 3 or 4 at any hunting camp I go to. Like 2 of them are really solid, great, like rechargeable ones, and then the emergency one, and like then the 4th one is just because I know eventually someone else will forget one, and I'm like, that ain't happening to me.
Yeah, that was me, man.
Dude. Yeah, I believe it. I even have like shoelaces. I keep a pair of shoelaces because that's happened to me where I went out and my bootlaces just exploded like 3 miles from camp.
Oh,
I'm like,
geez.
this sucks. Fortunately, like boots, you have so much lace that even though it split and I lost a fourth of it, if I unlaced the whole thing and then relaced it even, I still was able to tie it like around the base of my foot, just not like the top of the boot. So I got out of there, but yeah, never again.
Man,
now there's laces.
I bet your ankles were feeling that one.
Yeah. That was I don't know if you. I know you listened to the podcast, but it was like I want to say 3 elk seasons ago, and I fell. It was when I was walking back with my bootlace all fucked up that I fell and I pinched a nerve in my hip, and I literally like couldn't walk for 3 months.
Shoot, man.
So yeah, I don't remember my foot or ankle being sore because I'd hurt my hip so bad, or like the nerve in my hip. It was a brutal year.
Damn. Yeah, and it always happens when you're having fun, and then all of a sudden it just like one thing just leads to another thing, and man, it just starts piling up.
Yep.
So
and now that I've actually talking this out with you, I think that maybe I only pinched my hip because my boot wasn't tied. So I probably was walking funny, and then when I fell,
for sure.
then it pinched that nerve. Who knows? Either way.
Who knows? I know that when I lace my my ankle up, I lace my feet and then my ankle, and that ankle helps stability.
Yeah.
A lot. So I can only imagine, tripping and not having that support. Just
yeah, it was a pretty mild fall. I'll tell you that. I was pretty disappointed with how hurt I was for how small the fall was. But I'm not a doctor. I just play one on a podcast. So, what else you got for us, Jake? What other stories you got, man?
Well, I got a story about me and my fiance, now wife, hunting and getting a bear. Actually, you can see it right here. I'll turn the camera a little bit. This black bear here.
Hell yeah.
Right here.
And what kind of lizard do you got in that
arboretum? Oh, that's my wife's pet project. It's a Sahara sand boa. So it's a little snake. Yeah, he hides in the sand and never really shows his head until nighttime. So I don't have to worry about it.
A chick who likes snakes. You got yourself like Selma Hayek and like Dusk Till Dawn, don't you?
Well, she also hunts too. I don't know what I found, but she's a keeper for sure.
That's awesome, man. Cool. Well, tell us about this fiance black bear story.
So we were hunting in an area that I had hunted previously. I showed up there probably a week before looking for elk, and I really love archery elk hunting. I've heard the podcast enough to know you love archery as well as I do. And so, anyways, hunting elk, and I was in an area where it was really prominent. I kept seeing like a couple black bears in these parks, and these parks, they're just wide open grassland on a steep hillside.
Okay.
So I'm watching them. I'm like, cool, I'll go up there. I know there's elk up there. I've seen them migrate kind of like above where those bears were and kind of move their way down. And so I was chasing elk and calling, and they were just bugling back and forth. And I got to a spot where the hillside was a little steep, and it kind of does like it holds the elevation all the way across, and then it divots into like a little coulee where the water can move down. And so I'm sitting there. I've been chasing these elk all day. I have a tag for either sex, so I'm looking for whatever. I'm looking for meat.
Yeah.
And I'm working my way across, and I just hear commotion above me. And I mean, like, not like elk stampeding, like elk running away from something. And I'm like, kind of odd, whatever. So I'm hearing, I'm listening, I'm moving my way towards this ridge, and I park myself pretty much about 20 yards away from this little ridge before it kind of drops off. And all of a sudden, there's about 3 or 4 cow elk that just come bolting down this ridge. And I mean, running for their lives. And I don't know what's chasing them. I'm just like, cool, elk, like I might be able to fill my tag. So,
yeah.
But they blow right past me. I mean, just gone. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, I wonder what's going on. So I have my bow out, and I'm looking up the hill, and still just crazy commotion above. And then I see this cow elk sprinting down, and a black bear chasing it, following it, like probably 5 to 10 yards behind it, just booking it down this hillside.
way.
So I'm sitting there and I'm watching this happen, and I'm like, bow or like pistol. So I have my bow out, and I'm watching him run down this hillside, and the bear stops, just slams on the brakes. So as soon as I see that bear slam on the brakes, and she's about 20 to 25 yards from me, I put my bow down and pull my pistol out. I'm like, man, I ain't playing this game. And this bear has this awesome, probably 7 to 8 inch wide white patch going all the way down the sternum of this bear. I don't know if it's a female boar. I couldn't quite get a good look at it.
Okay.
But it slams on the brakes and is looking dead at me. And I'm like, man, come on now. Like, so I pulled the pistol out.
Break yourself.
Yeah. So I pull the pistol out and I'm aiming it at her, and she just bolts. And I mean, like, bolts across the hillside in front of me all the way. Like, I dropped my pack off probably about 20 yards behind me. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh shit, she's getting into my pack, like, or something. I don't know what I was thinking. I just knew that's the general area she's going. So I track her and I follow her all the way. So I start walking after her to make sure she doesn't mess with my pack. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? I just had a herd of elk just run past me. And this black bear just cut in front of me. Not just a whole shit show of events. And so I'm like, well, I heard a bull in that group. I might as well give it a try. And I give a cow call out, and that bull is like 30 yards away from me, just ripping through this thick brush. So I'm like, no way. So I put the pistol back into the holster, pull my bow back out, and I'm looking for this bull, and he comes probably 25 yards from me, and just no clear shot. Facing me, just trees in the way, but I can see his head, his eyes. He's just staring me down. I couldn't do nothing about it. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, whatever. That was a cool experience. Yeah. So I made a mental note of that area. I'm like, this is kind of an area where there's bear and elk that are co-living, basically. So I call up my wife, my now wife, and I was like, hey, are you wanting to go hunting still? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. And so I'm like, cool. We should have good weather. It should be a good time. So I pick her up and we head back to kind of a hill's top where we can kind of see that whole area. Mm-hmm. And I see about 4 black bears just sitting on the hillside in that park, just munching away on grass and whatever the hell they're eating. And I'm like, geez, there's a lot of black, like I have a black bear tag, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of black bear. And she's like, yeah, that's cool. I'm really not about it, but whatever. She's like, I don't want to mess with one. I'm like, I don't blame you. Yeah. But if one gets in front of me, So we set up the camp pretty much at the site we were glassing from. And that night it stormed. And when I mean it stormed, it was blowing like 30-mile-an-hour winds, raining sideways.
Jeez.
Ripped our Walmart tent in half pretty much. So we were both just soaking wet, miserable. Our dog was in the truck. He was with us that trip. We couldn't find anybody to watch him, which he'll tag on to the story in a bit. So we're sitting there just like, well, it's raining all day. The next day it's just downcast, downpour. We're like, well, let's go to the laundromat downtown. It's probably 2 hours to the nearest town. And like, let's dry our stuff out. So I get to the laundromat, and
that's a good move, by the way. That's like that's a moral win. Like when you're having a tough hunt. I one time drove 2 hours. It's actually that same trip that my boot broke, and then I fell, and then we're going to town anyways. But I got shoelaces and a boot dryer because my boot was soaked. And good God, having a nice dry pair of boots is just it's a moral win, man. And it can get you a lot farther over a hill.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it doesn't. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's just the small things, man. They matter,
dude. They add up,
and especially with your wife.
Kudos to you guys for going back and drying off your clothes. That probably made you hunt twice as hard.
Oh yeah, for sure. And especially gave me kudo points with the wife, because what Mrs. wants to hang around with a guy soaking wet all day?
I was gonna make some kind of joke about making your wife do laundry. Oh!
But so we get to the laundromat, we get all our stuff like dried out, and it's just finally like after like all day of just downpour, it finally lets out.
Yeah.
And so we head back up to the spot that we were at, and so we get into an area, and it's probably about 12:30ish. It finally stopped. I'm like, well, let's just hike around and see what we can do. And the elk were bugling still. They weren't as active as when I was there, but they were still calling and bugling and raking and all that stuff. So I make my way up the ridge with her, and I'm cow calling and up bugling, just trying to get some response. And we get a couple responses, but man, they're just so far away, and they're across a couple canyons. Like, I'm not going to drag her through pretty much hell and back just to get a shot. That would make it miserable for her.
Yeah.
And I
you want her to come back.
No, and that's my point is I want to make sure that she comes back, So I'm like, well, let's just go to this park that and this is early October, so it's kind of like it rains and then it is like sunshine and 60 degrees. So it's just beautiful out. So we get to this park and we're just napping in the sun. We got our dog with us. He's just kind of just been hanging around. He's pretty decent at hunting. Anytime I split off though, and he's got to stay, he don't like it. He starts whining, starts making noise, and this will tie in. So we're taking a nap, and I'm like, man, those bears were just in that park that was like right below us. And it was about 2:00, 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, I'm going to go. And we've been napping for pretty much an hour and a half, just sleeping off the horrible night before. Okay. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm going to go take a peek down here, and I'll come back up. And it's steep. It's very steep. It is, you could hands and feet still making contact the entire way, just steeper than hell. So I'm like, I'm going to go down here, keep the dog quiet while I go down there and just kind of mosey around. And I start making my way down, and I just see this black shape just bedded on that hillside. I'm like, no way. So I look up at her because she's kind of keeping tabs on me and holding the dog, and I'm like, I make like the 3-finger claw mark bear sign to her, and she kind of is like, she doesn't understand, but she knows there's something going on, so she keeps the dog quiet and stays up there. I take my shoes off, and I range him. The first time I ranged him was about 130 yards away, and even with the steep angle, he was probably 150. So I start sneaking my way down, and I took my shoes off. I'm in my socks, and I'm just working my way down, just creeping and creeping and creeping, staying out of sight, out of mind, playing the wind. And I get about 70 yards from him, and I've been pretty accurate with my bow, out to 90 yards. So I felt very confident shooting 70, 80 yards. And so I drew back, kind of like walking side hill, drew back at a super steep angle. And when I ranged it, it said 78 yards, but my rangefinder doesn't account for that type of angle at the time.
Oh, really?
So I put it at 72 on my slider.
Okay.
And so I'm creeping
That's good
sideways.
that you knew that.
Yeah, and that was from previous mistakes earlier year of just shooting at a steep angle and it just going completely over its back, an elk's back. So I'm side hilling. And that bear's just napping away. Same thing we were doing, just napping in that park. And I'm holding that draw, and I just put it right. And with bears, you know how the heart's kind of in the more centered than like deer and elk. Their heart's kind of further back. All their vitals are pushed a little further back. So I put it pretty much. I aim shoulder and then probably 3 inches to the left, and just let her fly. And I just hear this like. I've heard rock skipping. I'm like, oh shit. No. Like, I just missed it. Well, this bear jumps probably 3 feet in the air, bites at its side, turns around and takes off. Yeah, so it was a complete pass-through. When we gutted him out, it severed the top of his heart completely. Just a complete pass-through, no bones, no sound. All I heard was rock. So I was like, I missed him. Shit, I missed him. So, but when I saw him turn and bite, I was like, man, that's like a telltale sign of any animal, He got hit, and he got hit good. So we're sitting there, and I watched him take off down this hill, across the hillside and disappear into the brush. And my wife is like the first person, I've seen her move. I've never seen her move this fast before in her life. She was just hauling ass down this hill, and I was like, if you fall, you're not stopping, dude. Like, it's steep. Yeah. So she's hauling with the dog, and we both get to kind of a spot where we can talk. I'm like, man, that shot felt good. And she was like, that seemed like you were in control. Everything looked good. She shoots with me in the backyard all the time. She knows how I shoot. And, but my dog's just losing his shit. I mean, just whining and yipping. And I'm like,
smelling blood.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy. Imagine this. You're deep in the wilderness. The sun is rising, casting golden light over rugged terrain. Your heart races as you navigate through the backcountry, knowing the perfect shot could come at any moment. This is where memories are made and stories are born. Ultralight rifles are often seen as Mountain West guns, but the Ridgeline FFT from Christensen Arms breaks that mold. This stellar, lightweight rifle is your perfect companion, whether you're in the backcountry or box blind, ensuring you never have to switch between your builds. With its aero-grade carbon fiber barrel and stock, the Ridgeline FFT is incredibly lightweight, yet powerful. Thanks to its innovative side baffle brake, it reduces recoil even on a 5-pound gun shooting magnum calibers. It's like black magic. As a sub-MOA tack driver made in America, the Ridgeline FFT is for those who seek the thrill of the hunt and the joy of storytelling. Picture yourself returning to camp, Ridgeline FFT in hand, ready to share the day's adventures. Head to your local shop, pick one up. You've got to feel this rifle to believe it. Let the Ridgeline FFT be part of your hunting stories and the legacy you pass down.
So I put a leash on him because in Montana, you can have a dog with you as long as you're not using him to actively hunt animals. If you want him to track, you can hook up a leash to him, and then as long as they have, I believe it's 50 feet of lead, you're legal. He was kind of on a shot collar / lead the entire time we were up. So, but anyways, so we give it about half an hour, and I dropped down, and I have the dog with me, and she stayed up there. She's like, I don't want no part of, if that bear's still alive, I don't want any part of it. I'm like,
understandable,
man, but come on, you're supposed to be my ride or die. And she's like, not with the bear. It's like, well, fair enough.
She's like, let's work on the ride, not the die part.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, well, cool. And me and the dog walk down there, and I mean, immediately you just see blood everywhere. And so I was like, all right, buddy, this is his first time tracking something with blood. He's a shed dog, so he uses his nose. I didn't know how well he'd use it, but I wanted to give him a shot. So we're walking across the hillside. He darts straight downhill. I'm like, no. He kept running side hill, buddy. Well, he came up and he kept pulling me back to that spot, and I couldn't find him on that side hill. I'm like, I should probably trust the dog. He probably knows what's going on. And I dropped down, and probably 30 yards down that hill, he was piled up in a huge timber of sagebrush and deadfall. So
the dog was right.
Yeah. So perfect.
So the bear just basically shot side hill until out of sight, and then basically you turned
died.
30 yards down.
Yeah, so he ran about 15 yards, leaned against a tree, bled everywhere, and just died and just fell downhill. So
okay, fell downhill. That makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, so we went downhill and we got our pictures, and the wife was super happy, super excited. She's a little weird. She likes helping me gut and skin animals, so kudos to her.
Yeah, she likes snakes. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, exactly. So,
that
but
falls into the same category.
Yeah, so she helped me out, and we got it packed out. It ended up being a pretty good sized bear. He's 6 foot, nose to tail.
Nice, man.
Yeah, just a solid sized bear. Made him a nice rug. He takes up half my wall.
Yeah, he's a good looking bear. I mean, I can only see what looks like his ass half, but
yeah,
it's a good looking bear.
I'll turn him around. Yeah, he takes up.
God, that's huge.
Quite a bit. But yeah, he was.
That is cool.
He was first bear I've ever shot with, and first bear I ever shot with a bow, and it was an experience, and I cherish it all the time. Now I'm a spring bear hunter. I'm a fall bear hunter. I love it.
Yeah,
he ended up aging.
Only a fall bear. I really wish they still had spring bear, but they got rid of that years ago before I even started hunting. But
oh man, what a bummer!
Who knows? There's a lot of bears in Colorado. Maybe they'll bring it back. Probably not.
Maybe
because they hate hunting in Colorado. But
I know it's such a shame.
Always be positive.
Always be positive. But yeah, he ended up being like 12 years old. After getting
really?
the tooth. Yeah. We at first, I'll show you the skull after we're done, but he doesn't have any teeth left.
Okay.
He has like 4 teeth on the upper half and like 2 teeth on the bottom. And
That's
just
crazy.
Split, cracked canines, just he was not going to make it another year. So
what a shitty way to go. Like that's what like people are like, oh, just let him die of old age and be happy. And I'm like, well, if you imagine your teeth rotting out and falling out and you can't even eat anymore, that's the best way out, according to you. Like that ain't. I'd rather take an arrow to the heart any day than
for
like
sure.
a year of jaw pain and just misery. So
yeah, and starving, like especially that is the biggest old age problem I have when people are like, well, why do you kill when they'll die of old age? I'm like, you realize that last like couple of months of their life, they don't eat anything. They just put food in their mouth and it drops out.
Yeah,
like,
they don't
just gumming.
of old age. They starve to death because their teeth died of old age.
For sure, and that was a huge thing. But anyways, so he turned out to be terrible eating. It was pretty bad eating. I ate as much as I could. What
do you think? Was it just because he was old and gnarly? Had he gotten something gross? Because I think it was because
I wasn't the only hunter up there.
Diet.
I wasn't the only hunter up there, so I'm thinking there's like Karen. He was chewing on just like rotting flesh that would like melt in his mouth, so he didn't have to chew on it.
That would do it.
Yeah, and so he had no fat on him. Eating Karen, it was just not a pleasant bear to eat. So
okay.
But
I want to get one of them big old fat bears that like has found a berry patch.
Oh,
and,
for
their
sure.
Their meat's like purple and they taste like blueberries. That's the kind of bear I want to hunt.
Absolutely. You can go to Alaska.
Gotta go to inland Alaska. Those coastal ones, they're just smell and taste like salmon, I've heard.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, a couple podcasts, some other guy I was listening to, he let a buddy of his smoke brown bear. And he's like, I don't know if you smoke salmon in this thing, but I can't cook anything in this smoker anymore. So, it just.
I think I heard that too on like I think it must have been Dan Staten or something like the elk shape.
Elk shape. I think it was elk shape.
Yeah, I think it was elk shape where he says that like he goes to the smoker to smoke, and he's like, dude, how much salmon do you smoke in there? He's like, I've never smoked any salmon in that smoker. I've only smoked black bears. Or not black bears, excuse me, brown bears, coastal brown bears, which is so crazy. But it just sounds gross.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got, man? What else you got?
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't catch me eating no salmon bears, man. That's
way.
rough. I got one more story, I guess, and then if you want to have me back on some other time, I got a couple more fun stories that are interesting and potentially life-threatening, but
perfect. Let's do the last one you got. That's good timing, and then I'll dive off and watch some Colorado sports, and hopefully they all can live to play another day.
All right, let's go Avalanche. So
and Nuggets.
So this story is this guy. I know you can see it. Listeners can't see it, but
that's
this guy,
ball, man.
This guy right here.
Does he have a little kicker on that left horn?
Yeah, he does. He's got a little palmation, kind of. I know that light is kind of blocking it, but he's got a little kicker in between his whale tine and G5 and 4. So
I'm gonna call that a 6x7. That's a good bull.
Yeah, I call it as well because it's what I remember you saying. If it's longer than it is wide, it counts as a point. So
I've heard that with whitetail. I don't know about elk, but
I've
never seen an elk with small points. So
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. We could call it.
There we go. Okay.
So living in Montana, you get some good elk populations running through here. The migration coming from Yellowstone and just everywhere. There's a lot of elk up here, but don't put that in the podcast. But
it's too late. It's already in.
Too late. It's already in.
Everybody knows where there's elk.
For sure.
If you don't know, if they haven't Googled it already, you're not sharing.
I'm helping new hunters is what I'm doing. I'm throwing them a bone. So I'm bow hunting near Yellowstone, pretty close to the border, probably 35, 40 miles away from the border.
Okay.
And huge grizz country, huge wolf country, but also some good bull country and good elk country. I found a spot. My uncle turned me up to a spot. He's been up before. He said, they're always up there. The elk are always up in this area. Go check it out. And so I was like, all right, I'm like 20 at the time, broke as shit, have no money, a shitty truck that barely gets me point A to point B. I'm like, to hell with it. I ain't got nothing else to lose. So I took 2 weeks off. I threw every cent I had in gas and just headed straight from northwest Montana down to southwest or southern Montana. And so I get there and I immediately I'm ready for about 3 or 4 days of just some solid, steep, horrible, whatever life throws at me.
Yeah.
So I'm going up, hiking up, and it just starts getting windy. And I mean, just windier than windy gets.
That's the worst.
And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, this really sucks. And I'm in this thick timber patch. I'm like, is there a storm blowing in? And I get to this knob and there's just like this black wall that's coming towards me. I'm like, cool. All right, I got about an hour and a half to get to my camp, get it set up, and then just like start sleeping or just like get to camp and just sit there.
Yeah.
I ended up making it and just setting camp up in the blizzard. But it was not fun. It was pretty rough. Wind's just ripping all your ties and your tarps, just ripping it all into half, and you're just like, man, this sucks.
Yeah. How much did it snow? It was a full on blizzard.
It snowed about 6 inches up there, and
that's
then
enough
just
to
pass
collapse
over.
some tents, man.
yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't think until it starts melting. You never would guess that it does it. Well, I was also sleeping in a hammock. So I had a hammock and then a tarp, and then the tarp was draped over a line, and it kind of keeps the snow off me, but still, it kind of sucked.
Yeah, I don't want a hammock when it's blizzarding out, but all right. So
slept that night and got up, and I mean, elk sign was everywhere. Like they were in that area. Not when I was there though. I mean, just they were tearing up wallows. And the snow melted with probably about 3 o'clock the next day. It ended up being like 60 degrees the next day. So, Montana, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes, it'll change. Yeah. And so ended up walking down some ridges, not really seeing much other than just lots of sign. And I happened to look back where my camp was, and I saw a grizzly bear start making his way back towards my camp. And I'm like, oh, no way this sucker's going to come into my camp and trash it. And I had all my food on me, so he just must have smelt me walking or something. And so I turned around, and I just booked it straight back to camp. I was like, this guy is not going to tear my camp up. He's not going to be a jerk. He's a younger bear, so I wasn't really too worried about him. And I cut his tracks before I got to camp, so I knew he didn't mess with my camp, but I knew he was around the area, and I was like, there ain't going to be any elk in this area because of that. So that night I was sleeping, I ate food, do the whole food thing with you pack it away, probably 100 yards from camp, and then hoist it in a tree. And I'm sitting there eating, I just keep hearing noises around me. I'm like, this is freaking fun, seeing a grizzly bear and hearing noises.
Those damn coyotes again.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, these damn coyotes are after me, man. They have a blood pact with me or something. They're just hating me. So jump in the hammock, and I'm like, sleeping through the night pretty soundly. The wind was pretty heavy, so I couldn't hear any noises. So I just kind of was like, well, it's not going to eat me at the moment. It's going to be fine. I kept that 44 in my hand on my chest the entire night. But I kept hearing some like sticks breaking in between wind gusts, and I was like, that's wrong. Sit up and click on my light. It's just something glinting probably 300 yards away. And I'm like, nope, I'm not dealing with that. Clicked it back off and went back to sleep. I said, nope. I said, nope.
I could have.
I was like, nope, I'm not going to worry about that. If it gets me, it gets me. I don't care. I need to sleep. I'm tired. I've been hiking all day. So woke up probably about 4 o'clock in the morning when the sun was first like barely, you could even see light, and just didn't even care. I packed up camp and left that night after that. And as I was walking down towards my truck, I noticed that there was a shit ton of elk in this valley bottom. And in this valley bottom, there's just agriculture fields everywhere, just alfalfa and hay fields all over the place. And all those elk were just hanging out in those fields. And I'm like, well, no kidding, they're not going to be up here. You know, they're out rutting, they're out getting some ladies, they're out eating the fat food while they got chance. You know, I don't blame them, but like I'm in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
So I drop down all the way to my truck and get into some flats that has a bunch of state land and a bunch of just areas where you can access national forests. And I'm in the flats, and I noticed an elk herd kind of on a plateau. They couldn't drop towards the riverside because it was just a cliff face. It was a straight 30-foot drop. But on the far side, there was an alfalfa field, and in between, there's some state land. And so I was like, oh, sweet. You know, I could actually cut them off before they could get to this alfalfa field. So I jump in the truck, drive that shitty old Yoda just as fast as that thing could go, just making putting sounds the entire way.
Yeah.
About ready to blow up. And I get around and get in front of them a ways. I could see them. They were still probably 3/4 of a mile out. And so I jump out of my truck, I grab my binos, my rangefinder, and my bow, and I just start sprinting across. And this plateau has it's kind of a double-sided plateau. One side's only like a 10-foot drop with like a bunch of alley routes for those elk to cross down and get into this alfalfa field.
Okay.
And so I'm hauling ass across this because I know where they're going. They're going to the spot where they don't have to drop this cliff. You know, they don't want to drop that cliff. They want a nice, easy roll into this alfalfa field. As I'm running, I bump into a hunter who's hiding in a bush, just like chill there. And I'm like, you know, kind of, he's doing the same thing I'm doing, except for I'm trying to beat him to it. So I bump into him. Hey man, how's it going? He's like, oh, good. What are you doing here? I'm like, there's like a herd of like 60 elk coming your way. I'm like, I'm going to move down further past so I don't ruin your hunt. But I wanted, if you shoot something, you come back and let me know. I'll help you pack it out. But I'd like the same in return, you know. I wouldn't mind if I shot something, you know, you come help me. You know, just a friendly, you know, like a quick, very quick, because they were on the move. I was like, I got to go, but like, you know, if you shoot one, let me know. If I shoot one, I'll let you know.
Enjoy your bush, sir.
Enjoy your bush, sir. And I'm gone, you know, just running.
Yeah.
So I get to the end of this cliff band, and it kind of rolls into these rolling hills. And then there's this one mound with a rock that kind of blocks a silhouette out there.
Okay.
And so I work my way up to this rock, and I'm sitting there, and I'm waiting, and I see a couple cows walk. And I'm like, oh, no way, they're coming right through this draw. And I ranged one of the cows in 82 yards, and I've been practicing. Like I said, man, I regularly practice 70, 80, 90, 100-yard shots just because I know how it is. You know, Western Montana, either you're in tight timber or you're in the wide open flats. So you have to be prepared for whatever. So 82 yards, I ranged her, and I'm like, cool. All right, they're going to come right through here. Put the rangefinder away. The sun's at my back. There's no wind. I'm like, I feel pretty confident. And this bull right here comes just sniffing his way through, bugling, chasing this cow down. And I'm like, oh man, this is my time. I drew back. Everything felt solid. And I'm watching him, and he just keeps moving. He doesn't stop. I'm like, no, stop. I'm like making sounds. He doesn't stop. So I let off. I'm like, crap, man, I missed my opportunity. Well, he drops down the left, kind of like so. If you're looking at it, I was on the right where the elk were coming down. Okay. He ended up banking left and around a knob. And I knew he was coming back because there was another cow that was kind of held up. I think she either saw me move, I don't know what, but she was held up. And he was not having it. So he drops down, comes around, and starts pushing that cow out. Well, him and another one of his buddies, a younger 5x5, was kind of cruising side by side with him. I'm like, man, I want this big one, but I'll take this young one. I do not care. Whatever. I just need to get one of these guys so, you know, this trip is worth it because I'm missing work. I'm not getting paid for this. I've got no money in my account. I have enough maybe to get home. This is just like all or nothing. Boils all down to this moment. And so I draw, and I make it like a chirp noise, and that first bull stops. But that second bull keeps walking. This guy here keeps walking, that 7x6. And I'm like, no way. And so I make a loud, like, meow sound just to get him to stop. And so the first one stopped. The second one finally stopped just a ways away. And I was like, man, 80 yards, broadside, sun's at my back. He doesn't know I'm here. He just heard the sound and stopped. And I just let that arrow fly. Same thing, man. I just hear this like clink, like the sound of just rock and metal hitting. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I just messed that up.
Yeah.
Well, all the elk run off, and that elk turns the same way he started pushing that cow. And once he got about pretty much perpendicular with me, it looked like somebody was taking red paint and just sloshing it all over the ground. He was just
that's awesome.
Pouring blood out.
That's crazy. What broadhead do you use? I got to ask now that we're just getting completely silent pass-throughs.
Dude, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's passing without like hitting ribs or whatnot, whether it's... But I'm shooting Montex, actually.
Okay.
The G5s.
Huh.
And I've never, everybody I talk to, they're great broadheads, but they never leave a blood trail. Well, the past 2 kills I've had with these guys, no sound other than rocks and just blood everywhere. So
that's crazy.
I don't know what it is.
I've never had a blood trail. Like everything I've shot has died within like 100 yards, just like lungs and heart, just immediately dead, but never found any blood. Like just crazy. Just stumbled on the animal.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is crazy. What do you shoot then?
I have a mixture of things. My elk I shot with an iron will, not a drop of blood, but a complete pass through. My axis deer right here, this guy, right? Which way am I trying to point? That way. I shot him with a sever, and that was not a pass through, but he was quartering away, and I put it right in his pump station, and I'm positive it just hit the back shoulder blade. But he ran. I saw the arrow sticking out of him. He jumped, and it flew out. But no blood. But they're known for not bleeding, so I wasn't too upset with that one.
Right.
Shot another axis deer with an iron will. No blood. My moose with a... God, what did I use? I'll have to get back to you on my moose. But I went to a 3-blade, being like, okay, those Tonto points aren't doing it for me. I need something with a little bit more. Open up a bigger wound. And the moose, it had no blood as well, but it was quartering 2. And I shot, right where the shoulder blade goes down, or the shoulder blade, then kind of what you, I guess, called the forward kneecap, then it comes back.
For sure.
I hit right in that triangle, and it went out the back, and it actually pulled the guts out the back hole.
Jesus. So that 3-blade worked, but like no blood or nothing, huh?
No blood, but the back hole was clogged. She ran a big old loop. I couldn't even tell you how far. I would say maybe 100 yards. She passed away like 80 yards away from where I was standing. So
shit.
I saw her lay down as the sun was going down and was like, well, I think she laid down there. But then we waited an hour, looked for blood, and we found like 1 drop of blood. Really? And then we were like, you know what? It's too dark. We hear we were kind of, if you know moose country, it's kind of like swampy a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So we
like
heard
willow.
we heard somebody heard, like, they called it like a squanch or something, but like the, and so we're like, oh, is she getting up to move? Like, let's just get out of here. So we just got out, came back the next day. And I put a pin where I thought she would be, and she was within 5 feet of that pin. It was so awesome that she was right there.
Damn,
but yeah,
man.
No blood, man. Not a drop.
That's weird. Well, yeah, it's
drop.
Pretty weird that certain broadheads they either, and it also I don't know if it's, obviously you killed them, but like I don't know if it's placement where the blood really flows out or what. But both my animals that I've shot Montec G5s, and they bled like somebody stuck them with a knife and they just ran off. You just blood everywhere. So
my antelope I shot with a sever as well, but I was full draw on him, and he looked at me, and I went, oh shit! I just hit the trigger, like slapped it, like no shot process, and it hit him. And then I think it hit him, and then he moved, and so it like caused some carnage inside. But that arrow was out on each side, so it was a pass through, but it was in his body on each side.
Right.
So I don't know why it didn't finish the trip. I think it's because he was moving so much, and he bled like crazy. But he also inflated in half an hour that it took us to get him in the truck and then back to camp. He was like double in size. I don't know what I hit inside him that like caused the gas bomb to go off, but he was huge. It was crazy.
I've noticed with antelope. I drew a archery antelope, and I didn't shoot one, but it seems like it's so hot out. When I went out, I don't know how hot it was for you, but like, they just seemed like it'd blow.
Usually, yes, but I shot it. So the season opened. It's like in August to October is the season, and I had killed my moose. I still had the tag. I was like, let's go out. I have a couple more days to hunt. So it was like at 9,000 feet in Colorado.
Oh,
at
man.
this spot where it's nice and flat, big rolling hills, sagebrush, and there's a shit ton of antelope. And I shot him at last light, and it was probably 40 degrees when I shot him.
Oh, man. Well, what a treat that was, because I bet he tasted pretty good after that.
You know, I the ground that I've had has been great. His back straps are inedible. I'm thinking, so let me get this skull for you. Hold on. No one else can see this one.
Ah, you're good.
So if you look, his prong got snapped off right there.
Oh, shoot. Okay, so
I think that he got in a fight and was all jacked full of testosterone, and that's why his back straps are just completely inedible.
Man, that's a dandy antelope, man. That's a great looking antelope.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a Harry Potter wand on one side. But,
yeah.
You know,
Expelliarmus this
cool. Yeah, right?
But, yeah, I mean, it goes back to, like, taking care of your meat, you know? That's how the best meat tastes is however you take care of it, or if the animal's jacked up on testosterone and adrenaline. I mean, I think he had just lost that fight, was just like, and that's why I even got him. Like, archery antelope, I don't want to do it again. That was too hard. But I found one that was exhausted and was just like tired and didn't want to run anymore, and I got him. Yeah, well, hey, that's good.
I interrupted your story. Where are we? You shot them. You shot him. The arrow went right through. I asked about broadheads, and we went down a deep rabbit hole. So where are we back in your story?
So he was spilling buckets. I mean, just 5-gallon buckets out his side. And he ran probably 80 yards and then tipped over and did his death kicks. And man, I was just ecstatic. I was so ecstatic. I've never killed anything at that time with my bow.
Yeah.
I've been practicing every day. I was shooting 110 yards every day. You know, I'd walk it out from 20 to 110, shooting 10 arrows a day. And it really just, I mean, it was a bunch of work all accumulated into one point, and I was just ecstatic.
That's awesome.
And I got to watch him. Thanks. I got to watch him kick over, and that was the biggest, I think the biggest point for me was when he tipped over and just was kicking. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's cool.
Like, this elk is huge. His body's huge. I was ecstatic. So I ended up, I'm one to take, I'm a very excited individual. I really enjoy, you know, a lot. And
just fired up all the time.
Maybe more like a healer, you know, just really excited about everything. Okay. And so I started doing, you know, I started making dirt angels, and I was like, I laid my bow down, I was doing dirt angels. Well, I should have paid attention where I was laying, because I ended up doing it on top of 2 or 3 cactus patches.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. So
oh no, Jay.
I didn't feel it. You know, I was so hyped up on adrenaline. I was just rolling in the dirt, kicking and squeal. I was hooping, and I was like, oh shit, that guy behind me. Oh, that guy behind me. So I shut up really quick.
Still in his bush.
yeah. So I shut up really quickly. And I worked my way back to him, just trying I wanted to help him get that other bull, because that 5x5 was still hanging around in that alfalfa flat. So I cut behind a bunch of hills and started working my way back to him. And he was sitting there, he's like, hey man. I was like, hey dude, I just shot a bull. There's another bull over here if you want to shoot it. And he goes, just like color drained in his face, everything in his life just came crashing down, and he just looks at me and goes, really? I'm like, yeah, dude, I just killed this nice bull. Like, there's another bull over here. It's like, oh man, I'll sit here. I was like, what? All right. Yeah, so that's what I said. I was like, what? All right, man, whatever. So I worked my way back quietly in case he wanted to go chase him, and those elk ended up moving off very slowly, actually. He could have definitely gotten onto him, but I walked out and was, you know, trying to situate this bull elk by myself to make pictures really quick. You know, the grip and grin, I don't like doing it, but that one I felt deserved it.
Memories.
Yeah, for sure. I'll probably send you that picture. But this guy, he ended up just like, I don't know what he was doing. He just ended up staying in that bush. I don't know what he thought, but he ended up, as I'm like getting this bowl situated, and after the elk left, I look over and I just see this car, and I noticed the guy there was only one car there, and it was my truck and his car, and he just drove off. I mean, just didn't look at me, didn't stop and say what's up. He just got in his car
Yeah.
and drove off. I'm like,
Duh.
cool. So
He must
much
have thought
for
that was his elk and was too pissed or something.
that's what
Who
I was
knows?
thinking too. I was like, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been ecstatic either way. You know, I just wanted to see these awesome beasts in person up close.
Yeah.
Feel, just I was excited. But he ended up just thinking it wasn't, his opportunity got ruined by some stupid 20-year-old.
When you bumped into him and you were like, "Hey, Mr. Bush," did he know the elk were coming, or was he just sitting there and waiting for some?
There.
He was just waiting for elks to show up.
He knew that there was a bunch of obvious paths that they were walking down, and his bush was like right next to one, and I was like, man, they're not gonna be here. They're gonna be probably further past, but like, you do you, man. I'm not telling you to, do whatever. Just, I'd noticed that they were pushed a lot further than where he wanted to come down at. So I just moved past him. I was like, I'm not, I didn't want to waste time, and I also didn't want to argue with somebody trying to tell him where elk were. So
I tried to help him out.
Yeah, I tried to help him out, and he just obviously he was pretty upset that I moved past him and capitalized on an opportunity. So
that's all right. If you hear his story, it's not nearly as interesting as yours. But I bet he tells it all the time.
Oh, I bet that damn 20-year-old came sneaking up on me, stole my elk.
That 7x6 I had scouted for 6 months.
Oh, probably.
Damn bastard.
But it was just luck of the draw, movement, and just a lot of practice.
It is what it is.
Finally
just
coming
be happy
together
for anyone who gets one down. It's not easy.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to be happy for somebody than be kind of an asshole and grumpy with them.
Yeah.
So.
Also, the fact that you were there did not mean that he didn't get one. Like, if you weren't there, it's not saying that he would have gotten one. It probably the exact same thing would have happened, except they would have just walked on, and he never would have seen him.
For sure. And
So.
I think it was because they didn't want to drop down this like 10-foot ravine. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's hot out. I wouldn't. If I was an elk, I wouldn't want to drop down a 10-foot ravine. So, anyways, I was getting
I'm not
quartered
an elk,
up.
and I don't want to go down a 10-foot ravine.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
So, I was getting it cut up. And it was getting late. It was probably by the time that everything was said and done, I got the picture taken at about 7:30. Dark came around 8, and I was cutting up by myself. And so to pack it to my truck was probably about 3/4 to a mile away. So it wasn't terrible, but I was by myself, man. And that's
a couple trips.
I don't care who you are, man. Packing an elk out by yourself sucks. You don't have that fun camaraderie, bullshitting on the way to the truck. It's just quiet.
100%.
You're sweating.
100%.
It sucks. So
yeah, dude. When I shot my first bull, Pat Luttrell, who's been on the podcast, he's a world elk calling champ. He had a lighter pack than me, so he ran ahead, dropped his pack off, and then came back for the last 100 yards and played. He must have had it downloaded on his phone because we didn't have reception, but he played the Rocky theme song.
Oh,
for
no
the
way!
Last 100 yards of me coming back to the truck, so I was just like,
that's a homeboy.
I was like, yeah, let's go, and then we dropped off that giant pack and ran back and got one even heavier.
Heck yeah, man, dude, that's a homeboy right there. That's a hunting partner for life.
It was a good memory,
awesome.
man. It was a good way to take like a 2.5-3 mile shitty hike and like make a big smile at the end, and it's not just about the truck. So.
Absolutely, man, and that's huge. So
yeah, absolutely. But sorry, I keep interrupting.
No, you're good, man. Fun. No, I love hearing this. That's what stories are about. But anyways, so I'm working my way. I get 2 trips in. I did back leg and front shoulder, and then I was tired, so I did spare meat and back leg, and then shoulder and some other stuff, and then head. Mm-hmm. As I'm coming out with the 3rd load, I don't know what it is with coyotes and me, man, but I just see eyes at the far end of this field, and I'm like, no way. I'm in an area where I would expect bears, wolves, coyotes, but still, just seeing one, I'm just pissed off, I'm just like, why are you here?
Every time.
I'm too far away to even hit this thing, to do anything, but I pull out that 44, and I unload like 3 shells at the eyes. Just like, I don't even care. I know nobody's back there. Like, there's a hillside. Even if I don't hit anything, it's fine. But just seeing those eyes, man, just pissed me off. I was by myself. I didn't have help. And so I just click, and it's a single action, or it's a double action, but I like using the single action, just the lever and then pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like,
I have a gun that's the exact same. It's 357 mag. Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, John Wayne.
It's fun, man. It's fun.
It is fun. And so I just ended up just John Wayne and just holding the trigger open and just slamming that hammer action, just boom, boom, boom. And that thing took off so fast. Oh, it just didn't stop, didn't look back, just took off and ran.
Gone.
So ended up getting the elk in the truck, and the story doesn't end there, thank God. It gets pretty good at this point. So
I don't know where it's going to go now, but continue.
Oh, it's fun. So I'm on my way back, and I'm running out of gas, and I'm like, oh, cool, man. Like I'll just stop at the gas station, throw some ice in the cooler. And, I've been trying to GoPro I didn't get the GoPro footage on the elk. I was busy. I left it in the truck thinking, it didn't happen. I didn't film it.
It blows my mind that people have the mental fortitude to like, I need to record this.
I know, it's just crazy.
In the moment, I have nothing else going on. It's me and the animal, and there's no way I'm turning on my phone or a GoPro. It blows my mind. But some people are just really good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially those people that do the all-ins or the phone scopes, those guys are just, they film it, they kill the animal, and it's still on there like crazy.
Yeah.
So anyways, I loaded the elk up in the back of this Toyota T5 pickup, and I'm driving out, and I hit this town, and I'm out of gas. I'm like, okay, I'll pull in, I'll get some gas, and I'll head home. And I check everywhere. My wallet is gone.
Oh no.
My wallet, and I only do cash, gone. I have no money in any account. And this is like 2:00 in the morning. And so I pull up to this gas station, and this lovely lady, I can't remember her name. I only hope the best for her. I'm covered in blood, and just like, I'm like, miss, do you have any free ice I could have to keep this elk cool so I don't ruin this meat? And she's like, I want you to pull the truck up around back and take as much ice as you want.
Oh, that's awesome.
I take this elk and just douse it. And I have a tarp underneath it, and I just put probably, I don't know, 10 gallons, 16 gallons of ice on top of this elk for free. And this lady's just kind of soul.
That's awesome.
So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, well, I was telling her my story about killing it, about losing my wallet, and she goes, I have a son about your age. I'm going to throw $20 in your pump so you can get to Bozeman.
Oh, and, hell yeah.
I was like, no way. She's like, yeah,
man.
Oh, dude, I hope, I don't know if this will ever reach her. If this does reach you, man, bless your heart. You're so kind. So she gave me $20 to get me to Bozeman, and I ended up pawning my GoPro in Bozeman, and that got me home. So
no way.
Yeah, that lady just saved my bacon, saved my life, man. I didn't have to call any relatives begging for money. She was just. If she hears this, man, you're amazing. I thank you.
That's pretty cool,
to this
man.
day. So
that's a pretty awesome little way to end that. I'm sorry your GoPro's gone.
It's all good, man.
Oh, but Jake, man, that's a great story. All of your stories today were really fun. I really like your storytelling. I think that
thanks, man.
You have a good knack for details, and it was fun, and you could tell that you were living these moments over again, which is really what I'm aiming for here. Is I just want to live these moments with the people that are telling them to me. So thank you, man. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, for sure, Michael. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for everybody listening, man. That's the half of it is the people listening. So
yeah, and we'll have you back because
for sure, man.
You teased a couple stories about near death and pack animals, and we're definitely going to have you back. But for now,
sure,
where can the people find you? Or do you want them to find you? Do you want to just get lost? Or are you taking ice donations? What do you want to share?
Well, I do have an Instagram. I don't post very often on Instagram. I got into that Instagram reel, basically trap for a while, and then I was like, man, I can't do this. And then heard your podcast, man, and I downloaded it again. So damn you for making me download again. My
bad.
No, you're good. But you can find me at Montana Guy JZ Zander22, all lowercase on Instagram. And then I really post on TikTok because my wife's on it all the time.
Okay.
And I like letting her see it, and that's at Montana Guy Montana Guy 22. So
cool, give me a follow there too. I don't post much because they always take my shit down, and they threaten to take my account away. But
yeah, to hell with them.
Yeah, whatever.
So
right cool, man. Well, thanks again. I do appreciate it, guys. Give Jake a follow if you want, or don't. Either way, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you. This was a lot of fun, and we'll definitely have you back in the future, man.
All right, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, brother. All right, guys. That's it. Another couple stories in the books. Again, I want to thank Jake for coming on the podcast. Couldn't have done it without him. I had a ton of fun. We actually chatted for a while afterwards, just talking shit to each other, so I think we're going to be buddies for a while. So, Jake, thank you, man. I appreciate you. Listeners, if you guys have a great story, please do reach out. I love just having people reach out and telling me they have great stories and not having to spend time finding great stories, because y'all got them. Everybody's got a great hunting story. Beyond that, guys, make sure you give us a review, a like, a share. Make sure everyone you know knows about your favorite podcast, assuming this is one of your favorite podcasts. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Now get out there and make some stories of your own.